The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. Inside its central chamber, beings from 12 different worlds sat around a circular table. The air felt thick with anger and fear. Ambassador Juan from Earth adjusted his dark blue uniform and looked across the table at the alien creatures who had been his enemies for 3 long years. The Vorthak delegation sat directly across from him. Their leader, Supreme Commander Calix, had skin like gray stone and eyes that glowed red in the dim light. Next to Calix sat representatives from other alien races. The bird-like Zelani clicked their beaks nervously. The massive, furry Gromax kept their forearms folded across their chests. All of them stared at the humans with hatred. Nari, the human military advisor, whispered to Juan, "The quantum communicator is ready. Dr. Borum is waiting for your signal back on Earth." Juan nodded but kept his face calm. For months they had sat in this room trying to make peace. The aliens wanted humans to give up everything. They said humans were too dangerous because they had learned to travel between stars too quickly. Other races had taken thousands of years to develop space travel. Humans had done it in less than a century. "The Galactic Alliance has been patient with your species," Calix said, his voice like grinding rocks. "But that patience is ending. You will accept our final terms or face the consequences." The alien pushed a data tablet across the smooth table. Juan picked it up and read the demands. His face stayed calm, but inside he felt sick. The aliens wanted humans to destroy half their spaceships. They wanted humans to abandon colonies on 20 different worlds. Most importantly, they wanted alien governors to rule over human planets. "These are not peace terms," Juan said quietly. "This is surrender." A Zelani delegate flapped his wings. "Your species is young and violent. You need guidance from older, wiser civilizations. We offer protection and wisdom." "Protection from what?" asked Nari. "The only threat to human colonies has been your raids and blockades." Calix's red eyes flared brighter. "You dare question our methods? Your people barely learned to use fire when we were building star empires. You should be grateful we allow you to exist at all." The room fell silent. Other alien delegates nodded in agreement. They all believed humans were nothing more than clever animals who had accidentally learned to build rockets. Dr. Borum sat in her laboratory deep under the rocky mountains on Earth. She had been the top scientist working on humanity's secret projects for 2 years. While diplomats talked about peace, she had been building weapons that would make the aliens wish they had never threatened Earth. The quantum communicator on her desk buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. "Standing by for protocol exodus activation. Awaiting your command." Borum looked at the screens around her laboratory. Each one showed a different human colony or military base. Hidden shipyards beyond Pluto were ready to reveal ships the aliens had never imagined. Soldiers on Mars were loading weapons that could tear apart alien battle cruisers. Scientists on Luna were preparing to deploy technology that would change space warfare forever. Back on Nexus Prime, Juan stood up slowly. The movement made every alien in the room tense. Some reached for weapons. Others activated personal shields. "Ambassador," Calix warned, "you will sit down and accept these terms. Your species has no choice." Juan looked around the table at each alien face. Some showed anger. Others showed disgust. A few looked at humans the way someone might look at an annoying insect. "3 years ago we came to you with open hands," Juan said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "We wanted to join the galactic community as equals. We offered to share our knowledge and learn from yours. And we told you the proper way to do that," snapped a Gromax delegate. "Submit to our authority first. Learn your place in the natural order." "The natural order," Juan repeated. He walked slowly around the table, making the aliens turn to watch him. "You keep talking about the natural order, about how humans are too young and primitive to make their own decisions." Nari watched her ambassador carefully. She knew what was coming. Her hand moved slowly to the small device hidden in her jacket pocket. "Let me tell you about the natural order," Juan continued. "In nature, when a predator corners its prey, the prey has 2 choices. Submit and be eaten slowly or fight back with everything it has. You threaten us?" Calix rose from his chair, towering over the human ambassador. "No," Juan said calmly. "I am telling you that these talks are over." The words hit the chamber like a bomb. Alien delegates started shouting in a dozen different languages. Security guards moved toward the human delegation. "You cannot simply leave," screeched a Zelani. "The Alliance will not permit it." "The Alliance," Juan said, has just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. He nodded to Nari. She pressed the button on the hidden device. Far away on Earth, Dr. Borum received the signal she had been waiting for. Protocol Exodus is now active, she said into her communicator. Show them what we have really been building. Across human space, hidden bases came alive. Ships that had been built in secret powered up their engines. Weapons that had been tested only in computer simulations were loaded with live ammunition. Soldiers who had trained for this moment for years put on their armor. On Nexus Prime, the human delegation walked toward the exit. Alien guards moved to block their path, but Juan raised his hand. I would not do that, he said quietly. In approximately 30 seconds, every human ship in this system will power up weapon systems that you have never seen before. If any harm comes to us, those ships will demonstrate what humans are really capable of. Calix laughed, a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. Your primitive vessels cannot threaten this station. We have scanned your technology, chemical rockets and projectile weapons. You scanned what we wanted you to scan, Nari said with a cold smile. Above the station, 3 human ships that had appeared to be simple cargo vessels suddenly changed. Their hulls shifted and transformed. Hidden weapon ports opened. Energy readings that made no sense to alien sensors began building to dangerous levels. The station's defense systems screamed warnings. Every alien ship in the area received alerts about energy signatures they had never encountered before. Juan reached the chamber door and turned back one last time. We came seeking peace between equals. You offered only chains. Remember this moment, because everything that happens next is your choice, not ours. The human delegation left the chamber. Behind them, alien delegates sat in stunned silence as their sensor operators reported impossible readings from the human ships. Dr. Borum watched her screens as reports came in from every human world. The secret was finally out. Humanity was no longer hiding what they had become during 3 years of alien threats and humiliation. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not the primitive species they appeared to be. They were something much more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching Earth grow smaller in the view screen. The massive ship had been hidden behind Jupiter's moons for 2 years while diplomats played their games. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans had really been doing while aliens thought they were weak. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Sunho from the communication station, we are receiving Protocol Exodus activation codes from Dr. Borum. Tejo nodded. He had been waiting for this moment since the project began. Around him, his bridge crew worked at stations that looked nothing like the primitive control panels aliens had seen on earlier human ships. These displays showed star charts, weapon systems, and engine readings that would have seemed like magic to the Vorthak Empire. Send the activation codes to all fleet commanders, Tejo ordered. It is time to wake up the sleeping giant. Across the solar system, hidden shipyards beyond Pluto came alive with activity. Massive construction bays opened to reveal ships that had never appeared in any official human fleet records. The vessels were sleek and deadly, powered by engines that bent space itself. Commander Soo-hyun received her orders aboard the strike cruiser Vengeance. She had been chosen to lead the first attack because of her skill in space combat and her cold determination. The target was Kepler Station, a major Vorthak supply hub that supported their raids on human colonies. All ships report ready, Commander, said her tactical officer, Jinwoo. Soo-hyun looked at her crew. These men and women had trained in secret for years, knowing that one day they might have to use weapons and tactics no human had ever used in real combat before. That day had finally come. Jump in 30 seconds, she announced. Remember, the aliens think we are still using chemical rockets and metal bullets. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The strike group consisted of 12 ships. To alien sensors, they would appear to be standard human cruisers with basic shields and conventional weapons. The aliens would expect an easy victory against such primitive vessels. Space twisted around the human ships as their quantum drives activated. Reality folded in on itself, and suddenly the strike group emerged from hyperspace near Kepler Station. The station was enormous, built to service the massive Vorthak battle fleet. 60 alien warships surrounded it, their crews confident that nothing could threaten them in their own territory. When the human ships appeared, the Vorthak commanders actually laughed. 12 primitive vessels against our entire fleet? Captain Zorak of the Vorthak dreadnought destroyer sneered. The humans have lost their minds. All ships attack formation, Soo-hyun ordered calmly. Let them make the first move. The Vorthak fleet moved forward like hungry predators. Their plasma cannons charged up, and their heavy missiles locked onto the human ships. 60 vessels against 12 should have been a massacre. The aliens opened fire first. Hundreds of energy beams and explosive missiles streaked toward the human fleet. Every Vorthak commander expected to see the primitive human ships torn apart instantly. Instead, the energy beams passed harmlessly through empty space. The human ships flickered and seemed to exist in several places at once. The missiles exploded against nothing but vacuum. "What is happening?" shouted Zorak. "Where did they go?" Engineer Dohyun watched from his position on the Vengeance. He had spent 5 years developing the quantum phase technology that allowed human ships to shift slightly out of normal space. Enemy weapons could not hit targets that existed in a different dimension. "Phase shift complete," he reported to Soo-hyun. "We are ready to demonstrate our real firepower." The human ships reappeared in normal space, but now they were inside the Vorthak formation. Alien captains screamed orders as they realized the humans were now at point-blank range. Soo-hyun gave the command that changed everything. All ships opened fire. The human vessels unleashed weapons the galaxy had never seen. Antimatter cannons tore through alien shields like paper. Quantum torpedoes phased through armor plating and exploded inside enemy ships. Energy beams powered by micro-black holes cut massive alien dreadnoughts in half. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, the entire Vorthak fleet was floating debris. Kepler Station, which had seemed so massive and intimidating, was now an expanding cloud of superheated gas. Soo-hyun opened communications on all frequencies, knowing that every alien listening post in the sector would hear her words. "This is Commander Soo-hyun of the Terran Defense Force," she said, her voice calm and cold. "For 3 years, your people have attacked our colonies and demanded our surrender. You said we were too primitive to be a threat. You wanted to see what humans are capable of when you push us too far. Consider this your first lesson." The message spread across alien communication networks faster than light. Within hours, every major alien government knew that the humans had weapons and technology far beyond anything they had imagined. On Earth, Dr. Borum watched the reports from Kepler Station with satisfaction. But the military victory was only part of humanity's plan. She activated another protocol that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "Deploy the Genesis Array," she ordered. Across human space, massive ships that had been disguised as simple colony transports revealed their true purpose. The Genesis Array was humanity's most ambitious project. Instead of spending centuries to terraform new worlds, humans had learned to seed entire planets with Earth life in a matter of weeks. The terraforming ships moved toward barren worlds that aliens had declared off-limits to human expansion. Using technology that combined genetic engineering with quantum manipulation of matter, the ships began transforming dead rocks into garden worlds. Captain Yojin commanded the terraforming vessel New Eden as it approached a lifeless planet in the Tau Ceti system. The world had been claimed by the Zelani Federation, but they had done nothing with it for 300 years. "Beginning atmospheric seeding," reported her science officer, Minyoung. "Quantum accelerators are online." The ship released billions of microscopic machines that began breaking down the planet's toxic atmosphere and replacing it with breathable air. Seeds and genetic templates from thousands of Earth species were scattered across the surface. Within days, the first plants began growing. Within weeks, the planet would be ready for human colonists. "If the galaxy will not let us live in peace," Yojin said as she watched the dead world come alive, "then we will make our own galaxy." The news of Kepler Station and the Genesis Array reached the Galactic Council within hours. Emergency sessions were called on every major alien world. The comfortable belief that humans were primitive and harmless had been shattered forever. Supreme Commander Kallik stood before the Vorthak High Command, trying to explain how an entire battle fleet had been destroyed by 12 human ships. "They have been hiding their true capabilities," he admitted. "Everything we thought we knew about human technology was wrong." "How is that possible?" demanded General Vorthak. "Our spies have observed their colonies for years." "They showed us what they wanted us to see," Calix replied. "While we were watching their primitive settlements, they were building weapons in secret. Across alien space, military leaders who had dismissed humans as no threat began frantically upgrading their defenses, but they were already too late. Humanity had revealed only a small part of what they had been building during 3 years of peace talks. Admiral Taiho received reports from strike groups across the galaxy. Every attack had been successful. Alien supply bases were destroyed. Trade routes were cut. Most importantly, the myth of alien superiority had been broken forever. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving surrender requests from 7 minor alien governments." Taiho smiled grimly.
"Tell them that the time for surrender has not yet come."
"We tried peace and were offered chains. Now we will show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The sleeping giant had awakened and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency council meeting on the Vorthak homeworld brought together the most powerful military leaders in the galaxy. General Morok slammed his massive fist on the table, making the holographic displays flicker. "Enough of this panic," he growled. "So the humans destroyed one supply station. They caught us by surprise with some new tricks. That will not happen again." Around the table, representatives from 7 alien species nodded in agreement. The Gromax defense minister showed his teeth in what passed for a smile among his people. "Our combined fleets number in the thousands. Even with their new weapons, the humans have less than 200 ships." Supreme Commander Calix was not so confident. He had seen the sensor readings from Kepler Station. The human weapons were unlike anything in the galactic databases. But his voice from the other military leaders was clear. "They wanted overwhelming force. Very well," he said finally. "We deploy Battle Group Omega to the Arcturus system. 300 ships from our finest fleets. If the humans want a real war, we will give them one they cannot win." The massive alien fleet began gathering at the edge of Vorthak space. Dreadnoughts the size of cities floated next to sleek Zilani battlecruisers. Gromax assault ships bristled with heavy weapons. Every alien government contributed their most powerful vessels to the force. Captain Jiwan stood on the bridge of the experimental dreadnought Defiance, watching the enemy fleet through long-range sensors. Her ship was one of only 12 human vessels in the Arcturus system, facing an armada 30 times their size. "Area, give me a full analysis of their formation," she said to the ship's artificial intelligence. The AI's voice came from speakers around the bridge, synthesized from the neural patterns of the brilliant scientist Yuna. "Captain, they are using standard pack hunter tactics. They expect to overwhelm us with superior numbers. And they still think we are using primitive technology," added Lieutenant Hyunwoo from the tactical station. "Our sensor readings show they have not upgraded their shields or weapons since the Kepler Station incident." Jiwan nodded. The aliens were making the same mistake they had been making for 3 years. They saw what they expected to see, not what was really there. On Earth, Dr. Minji worked frantically in her secret laboratory beneath the Pacific Ocean. She had been the lead scientist on humanity's dimensional research project. While aliens built bigger guns and thicker armor, humans had been learning to step outside reality itself. "The phase variance generators are online," she reported to Admiral Taiho via quantum communication. "Captain Jiwan's fleet can now shift between multiple dimensions at will. The aliens will be shooting at ghosts." President Jae-hoon sat in the underground command center in Seoul, watching the tactical displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. His advisors were nervous, but he remained calm. He had seen what human scientists and engineers could accomplish when properly motivated. "Mr. President," said Defense Secretary Chanwoo, "the alien fleet will reach Arcturus in 6 hours. Are you certain we should not retreat?" "Retreat?" Jae-hoon smiled coldly. "We spent 3 years trying to make peace with these creatures. They responded with ultimatums and threats. Now they send 300 ships to crush 12 of ours. Let them come. It is time the galaxy learned what humans do to bullies." The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus system like a metal storm. 300 massive warships spread out in perfect battle formation. Their weapons powered up, and their shields reached maximum strength. Admiral Gorvak of the Zilani Federation commanded the operation from his flagship. Through the bridge windows, he could see the few human ships waiting near the system's 4th planet. They looked tiny compared to his armada. "This will be over quickly," he told his staff officers. "The humans have nowhere to run and they are hopelessly outnumbered." The alien fleet moved forward like a tidal wave of metal and energy. Every ship had orders to show no mercy. Humanity had dared to challenge the established order of the galaxy, and they would be crushed as an example to other young species. Captain Jiwan watched the alien formation approach. Her bridge crew was calm and focused. They had trained for this moment for years, running simulations and practicing maneuvers that existed only in theory until now. "All ships, Prepare for dimensional phase, she ordered. Let them get close enough to taste victory. The alien fleet opened fire when they reached optimal range. Thousands of energy beams and plasma bolts streaked across space toward the human ships. Every alien commander expected to see the primitive human vessels vaporized instantly. Instead, the energy beams passed through empty space. The human ships flickered like mirages and seemed to exist in multiple places at once. The alien weapons hit nothing but vacuum. "What is happening?" shouted Admiral Gorvak. "Where are they?" "Sir," reported his sensor officer. "The human ships appear to be phasing in and out of normal space. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto them." Dr. Minji watched the battle from her laboratory. The dimensional generators she had spent years perfecting were working exactly as designed. The human ships could shift between different layers of reality, making them impossible to hit with conventional weapons. "Phase shift complete," reported Arya from the Defiance. "All ships are now operating in dimensional flux. Enemy weapons cannot reach us." Jiwan smiled as she watched the confusion in the alien fleet. 300 ships were firing desperately at targets that existed just outside their reality. "All ships, return to normal space and show them what we have been building," she ordered. The human vessels reappeared in normal space, but now they were scattered throughout the alien formation. Instead of 12 ships facing 300, there were now 12 ships inside the enemy fleet with clear shots at alien command vessels. The human dreadnought Defiance materialized directly above Admiral Gorvak's flagship. The alien commander looked up through his bridge windows and saw weapons that had never existed in any galactic database. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did they get past our sensors?" Jiwan gave the command that ended the battle before it truly began. "All ships engage enemy command vessels. Maximum firepower." The human weapons fired in perfect synchronization. Antimatter cannons that drew power from controlled black holes tore through alien shields. Quantum torpedoes phased through armor and exploded inside enemy ships. Energy beams that existed in multiple dimensions carved massive alien dreadnoughts into pieces. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but their command structure was already shattered. Ship after ship exploded or went dark as human weapons found their targets. Within minutes, the organized battle formation became a chaotic mess of burning wreckage. "Admiral Gorvak's flagship is destroyed," reported Hyunwoo. "The Gromax battle group is requesting permission to surrender." "Denied," Jiwan said coldly. "They came here to destroy us completely. Now they can face the same fate they planned for humanity." The battle continued for 2 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships moved through the alien fleet like deadly phantoms, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before return fire could reach them. 300 alien vessels were reduced to floating debris and distress beacons. When the last alien ship went dark, Captain Jiwan opened communications on all military frequencies. "This is Captain Jiwan of the Terran Defense Force," she broadcast. "You sent 300 ships to crush 12 of ours. Your fleet is now scrap metal. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity. We are not the primitive species you thought we were." The message reached alien governments across the galaxy within hours. The impossible had happened. A tiny human fleet had destroyed the most powerful battle group the aliens had ever assembled. On the Vorthak homeworld, Supreme Commander Calix stared at the sensor reports in disbelief. "How many human ships survived the battle?" he asked. "All 12, sir," reported his aide. They suffered no casualties. President Jaehoon addressed the people of Earth from the command center. "For 3 years we sought peace with our galactic neighbors. We offered friendship and cooperation. They responded with threats and ultimatums. Today they sent their finest fleets to destroy us. Those fleets no longer exist." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "We did not choose this war, but we will finish it. The galaxy wanted to see what humans are capable of when pushed too far. Now they know." Across human space, hidden military bases came online. Weapons that had been built in secret were loaded onto ships. Soldiers who had trained for years put on armor that made them walking tanks. The galaxy had awakened something it could not control. Dr. Minji received new orders from military command. The dimensional weapons had exceeded all expectations. Now it was time to move to the next phase of humanity's plan. Begin production of the reality bombs, she told her research team. "If the aliens want to see advanced human technology, we will show them weapons that can rewrite the laws of physics themselves." Supreme Chancellor Raxith of the Zalani Federation paced nervously in his private chambers. The reports from Arcturus had shaken every alien government to their core. 300 of their finest ships destroyed by 12 human vessels without a single human casualty. It was impossible, yet it had happened. Chancellor, his aide Kestra announced, "You have an urgent communication from the Gromax Defense Council and the Vorthak High Command." The holographic displays activated, showing the faces of alien leaders from across the galaxy. Each one looked frightened and angry. Supreme Commander Calix spoke first, his red eyes blazing with rage. "The human threat has grown beyond our worst predictions," he said. "We need to combine all our remaining fleets into one massive armada. Overwhelming force is our only option." General Thrax of the Gromax military disagreed. "No more direct confrontation. The humans have weapons we cannot understand. We need to negotiate before they destroy us all." Raxith felt sick. The galactic order that had existed for thousands of years was crumbling. Aliens had always been the advanced species, and humans were supposed to be primitive newcomers. Now everything was reversed. "I will attempt to contact the human leadership," he said finally. "Perhaps we can still find a peaceful solution." On Earth, Admiral Taiho had been promoted to Fleet Marshal and now commanded humanity's entire military force. He stood in the war room beneath New Tokyo, watching holographic displays that showed human forces advancing across the galaxy. "Marshal," reported General Soyoung, "Colonel Wanho's Terra Guard has successfully liberated the Kepler colony. The Vorthak garrison surrendered without a fight." Taiho nodded. The Terra Guard were humanity's answer to alien super soldiers. Each man and woman had been genetically enhanced and equipped with powered armor that made them nearly invincible in ground combat. Colonel Wanho stood 7 feet tall in his battlesuit, which hummed with energy weapons and defensive fields. He had led his soldiers through 6 liberation missions, freeing human colonies that had been occupied by alien forces. Each victory added alien prisoners and captured technology to humanity's growing arsenal. "The colonists are requesting permission to join our military forces," Wanho reported via quantum communication. 3 years of alien occupation has made them eager for revenge." "Approved," Taiho replied. "We need every able-bodied human for what comes next." The most shocking discovery had come from an ancient dig site on Kepler 442b. Xenoarchaeologist Hijin had been studying ruins that predated any known galactic civilization. What she found changed everything humans thought they knew about their own species. "Marshal Taiho," she reported from the dig site, "I have confirmed the genetic markers. Humans are not originally from Earth. We are the descendants of a precursor race that once ruled this entire galaxy." The implications were staggering. The ancient ruins contained genetic laboratories and star charts that matched human DNA perfectly. Humanity was not a young species that had accidentally learned space travel. They were the heirs of the galaxy's former masters. "The current alien species destroyed our ancestors approximately 50,000 years ago," Yejin continued. "They thought they had wiped us out completely. The humans who survived on Earth were refugees who had their memories erased." AI coordinator Minwan worked in a secret facility on Mars, integrating captured alien artificial intelligences into humanity's growing computer network. Each alien AI that was captured added to human knowledge of enemy, tactics, and technology. "We can now predict alien fleet movements up to 5 days in advance," he reported to Fleet Marshal Taiho. "Their AIs are advanced, but they think in predictable patterns. Human intuition combined with alien processing power gives us an enormous advantage." The war had become less a conflict between equals and more a systematic dismantling of alien civilization. Human forces moved from system to system with mechanical precision. Each victory added more ships, more technology, and more alien prisoners to humanity's cause. On the occupied world of Vega Prime, the Human Liberation Force arrived to find the alien garrison already evacuating. Commander Yunhee led the first wave of dropships down to the planet's surface. "The Gromax forces are retreating without firing a shot," she reported. "The colonists are celebrating in the streets, but not all aliens were ready to surrender." Deep in Vorthak space, a secret military council was planning humanity's destruction using weapons that violated every galactic treaty. "The humans have shown they are immune to conventional warfare," declared General Zorvak. "We must use planet-killer weapons, destroy Earth itself, and cut off the head of this human rebellion." Supreme Commander Calix considered the proposal. Using such weapons would make the Vorthak Empire as hated as they claimed humans to be. But the alternative was complete defeat. "Prepare the quantum destroyers," he ordered finally. "If we cannot defeat them with honor, we will defeat them with overwhelming force." The decision was a mistake that would cost the Vorthak Empire everything they had. Built over thousands of years, Dr. Boram detected the alien weapon preparations from her monitoring station on Luna. Quantum destroyers were theoretical weapons that could unmake entire star systems by destabilizing the fabric of space itself. "Fleet Marshal," she reported to Taiho, "the Vorthak Empire is preparing to use planet-killer weapons against Earth. We have approximately 72 hours before they are ready to fire." Taiho's face showed no emotion, but everyone in the war room could feel his cold anger. "They want to destroy our homeworld and kill billions of innocent humans. Very well. It is time to show them what we have learned from studying their own history." He activated the emergency command protocols. "All fleet commanders, this is Marshal Taiho. Operation Starfall is now active. Deploy the reality bombs." The reality bombs were humanity's ultimate weapon, based on the technology found in the ancient precursor ruins. They did not just destroy matter and energy. They rewrote the basic laws of physics in a localized area, making it impossible for normal matter to exist. Captain Minjay commanded the stealth ship Nightmare as it approached the secret Vorthak weapons facility. Her ship was invisible to all known sensors, using technology that existed partially outside normal space. "Target confirmed," she reported. "The quantum destroyer is charging its primary weapon, deploying reality bomb in 30 seconds. The weapon that emerged from her ship looked like a small metal sphere. It contained the compressed essence of entropy itself, held in check by quantum field generators that would fail in exactly 10 minutes. General Zorvak watched from his command bunker as the quantum destroyer reached full power. The weapon was aimed directly at Earth's solar system. With one shot, he could destroy humanity's homeworld and everything within 50 light years. "Fire the weapon," he commanded. At that exact moment, the reality bomb detonated. The quantum destroyer simply ceased to exist, along with the space station that housed it and the entire star system around it. Where there had been planets, stars, and alien warships, there was now only empty void that hurt to look at directly. The message was clear to every alien government. Humanity now possessed weapons that could erase matter from existence itself. Supreme Chancellor Raxith received the sensor readings and immediately opened communication channels to Earth. "Please," he transmitted, "we must talk. Before this goes any further." Fleet Marshal Taiho accepted the communication from his command center. The alien leader looked terrified and desperate. "Marshal," Raxith said, "I am authorized to offer the complete surrender of the Zelani Federation. We will withdraw our forces from all human territories and pay any reparations you demand." "That is a good start," Taiho replied calmly, "but surrender will not be enough. Your species and your allies made a choice when you threatened to destroy Earth. Now you must face the consequences." Across the galaxy, alien governments that had seemed invincible just weeks earlier began collapsing. Some surrendered unconditionally. Others tried to flee to distant star clusters. All of them realized the same terrible truth. Humanity was not the primitive species they had believed. They were something far more dangerous, and now they were unstoppable. 5 years had passed since Ambassador Huan walked out of the peace talks on Nexus Prime. Now Fleet Marshal Taiho stood in the same chamber. But everything had changed. The circular table where aliens had once demanded human surrender was now surrounded by human officers and alien prisoners. The massive space station that had been the center of galactic power was now humanity's new capital. Outside the windows human warships patrolled were alien. Fleets had once threatened Earth. The transformation was complete and irreversible. Chancellor Raxith of the Zelani Federation sat in chains at the table, where he had once held absolute authority. His feathers were dull with stress, and his proud bearing had been broken by years of defeat. Around him sat the surviving leaders of species that had once ruled the stars. "The final surrender documents are ready for your signatures," announced Captain Soman, Taiho's aide. She placed the data tablets in front of each alien leader with mechanical precision. Supreme Commander Calix, the proud Vorthak warrior who had demanded humanity's submission, now wore the simple gray uniform of a defeated enemy. His red eyes no longer burned with arrogance. He looked at the human document with the expression of someone who had lost everything. You have won completely, he said quietly to Tejo. Our fleets are destroyed. Our colonies are under your control. Our people serve human governors. What more do you want from us? Tejo looked at the alien who had once threatened to destroy Earth. We want what you should have given us 5 years ago. Respect. Recognition that humanity has earned its place in this galaxy through strength, not through begging for scraps from your table. The human fleet now controlled over half the galaxy. Planets that had resisted human expansion were being transformed into garden worlds for human colonists. Species that had fought hardest against humanity had been relocated to reservation systems under strict human oversight. Governor Chehyun administered what had once been the mighty Vorthak Empire from her office on their homeworld. The former warrior race now worked in human-supervised factories and farms, their aggressive nature channeled into productive labor under careful human guidance. The monthly production reports, "Governor," said her assistant, a young Vorthak named Quakes who had learned to speak perfect Korean. Steel output is up 12% and the agricultural zones are exceeding their quotas. Chehyun nodded as she reviewed the data. The Vorthak were not treated cruelly. Human rule was firm but fair. Those who cooperated prospered. Those who resisted were sent to re-education centers where they learned to appreciate the benefits of human civilization. Excellent work, Quakes, she said. Your people are adapting well to the new reality. The former Supreme Commander Calix now served as her advisor, helping implement human policies among his own species. It was not cruel oppression, but the message was clear. The galaxy's natural order had been permanently rewritten. Governor, Calix said during their weekly meeting, some of the younger Vorthak are asking why they must learn human languages and customs. Because, Chehyun replied calmly, humans are now the dominant species in this galaxy. Your people can either adapt and prosper, or they can cling to the past and remain forever behind. The choice is yours. On Earth, Dr. Borum had been promoted to Director of Galactic Sciences. Her laboratories now studied technology from hundreds of alien species, combining the best innovations into new human designs. The genetic research had revealed even more about humanity's true origins. We have confirmed that the precursor race was destroyed by a coalition of alien species 50,000 years ago, she reported to President Jae-hoon, the same species that demanded our surrender just 5 years ago. Ironic, Jae-hoon replied. They spent millennia congratulating themselves on destroying their masters, never realizing that humanity would return to reclaim what was rightfully ours. The terraforming projects continued across the galaxy. Hundreds of dead worlds were being transformed into new Earths, where human families could build lives free from alien interference. The Genesis array had been perfected to the point where entire planets could be made habitable in a matter of weeks. Captain Yojin now commanded a fleet of terraforming ships that moved from system to system, leaving garden worlds in their wake. Each new colony was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. New Kyoto is ready for its first wave of colonists, she reported from the bridge of the terraforming vessel New Eden. Population capacity 50 million humans. The most reluctant aliens had finally been forced to accept the new reality. The Gromax Defense Confederation, which had fought to the bitter end, finally surrendered when human forces surrounded their homeworld with reality bombs. General Thrax, the Gromax leader who had once called humans clever animals, now bowed deeply when Governor Young-ho entered the room. Human control over the former Gromax territories was absolute and unquestionable. Your monthly tribute of raw materials and manufactured goods, Thrax said, offering the datapad with trembling hands. Everything is exactly as you specified. Young-ho accepted the tribute with the casual indifference of someone who had grown accustomed to absolute power. Your people are learning their place in the new order. Perhaps in a generation or two, you will understand why resistance was futile. The final ceremony took place in the Great Chamber of Nexus Prime. Ambassador Huan, now Director of Galactic Affairs, watched as the last holdout species formally surrendered to human authority. The Crystalline Collective submits to human governance, announced their representative, a being of living mineral who sparkled with inner light. We request only that our people be treated with the mercy you have shown to other defeated species. Juan smiled as he accepted the surrender. 5 years earlier, He had walked out of this same room as the representative of a species the aliens considered primitive and worthless. Now he sat at the center of galactic power, accepting the submission of creatures who had once looked down on humanity. "Your request is granted," he said formally. "Humanity does not rule through fear and cruelty. We offer protection, guidance, and prosperity to those who accept the new reality." Fleet Marshal Taiho received the final reports from across human space. Every major alien government had either surrendered or been destroyed. The few species that remained independent were too small and insignificant to pose any threat. "Sir," reported Admiral Kyungmi, "the last Vorthak resistance cell has been eliminated. The galaxy is now completely under human control." Taiho nodded with satisfaction. "Send word to all colonial governments. The war is officially over. We have won everything." In his private office, Dr. Borum worked on her final report about humanity's rise to galactic dominance. She wanted future generations to understand how completely the balance of power had shifted. 5 years ago, she wrote, alien species controlled 98% of the galaxy and viewed humans as an insignificant threat. Today, humans control 75% of all inhabited systems, with the remaining 25% under human protection or oversight. She paused in her writing to look at the star charts on her wall. Red markers showed human colonies. Blue markers showed worlds under human administration. Green markers showed alien reservation systems. The galaxy had been completely transformed. "The aliens made a simple mistake," she continued writing. "They saw humanity as they wanted us to be, not as we actually were. They believed their own propaganda about human primitiveness until it was too late to recognize the truth." Ambassador Juan sat in his old chair at the negotiation table, now reviewing surrender documents instead of peace treaties. The alien delegates who had once sneered at human weakness now waited respectfully for his approval of their requests. "We asked them to treat us as equals," he said to Captain Soman, who stood beside his chair. "They chose to treat us as threats, so we became something they never expected." "And what was that, sir?" Soman asked. Juan looked around the chamber where the old galactic order had died and the human age had begun. "We became their new rulers. Perhaps the next species to reach for the stars will remember this lesson and choose cooperation over domination." The galaxy that had once trembled at human weakness now lived under human protection. It was not the future anyone had imagined 5 years earlier, but it was the future the aliens had created through their own arrogance and short-sightedness. Humanity had offered peace and been given ultimatums. They had offered friendship and been threatened with extinction. Now they offered governance and received grateful submission from species that had finally learned the price of underestimating human determination. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the dawn of the human age.